Look at the lens, not at the...
Look at the lens. The lens is there.
Look at the lens.
Hello, lens. Hello, everybody. Wait, sorry.
Wait.
Hold on.
Hello!
And welcome.
My assignment for today is to look at the lens. Look at the lens, look at the lens, look at the lens.
We have the lens here, and then we've got like a monitor there, so it's really easy to look at the monitor.
And it's really distracting because I can see like the screen the way that you guys see the screen, and then you know how it is. If you see your own image on the screen, you try to look at it.
'Cause we're all a bunch of narcissists.
That's right, that's right. You want to make sure that you look good, your duck lips are all in place. Welcome, patrons. This is the Featherwolf Gathering, and it is Sunday, International Women's Day. Happy International Women's Day.
Yay!
To tech support.
I was gonna, but there's nothing I could do there that wouldn't get me smacked. So, hooray for women!
Yay!
I was gonna like pretend I was in drag or something, but you know, I have my own channel with my own brand, and so I try not to screw it up on this channel.
I have wigs and makeup and feathers.
I'll just do duck lips.
And
No, wait,
glitter.
I can smolder.
You can smolder. Did you guys see Jumanji, the new Jumanji? It's really good. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, about the day. It is Sunday. It is International Women's Day.
And it's an hour earlier than it was yesterday for most of you.
Exactly. The rest of the world changed.
Does that even make sense?
He makes sense to me, but I don't know if he makes sense to anyone else.
I need coffee.
The time has changed. For us, it's an hour earlier than we would usually stream. For you guys, I don't know. Time change blows my mind. It's one of those things that I just can't figure out. And I can't figure out why Chile does it on its own schedule every year. It's not even on its own steady schedule. They keep changing it every year. Nobody can keep up with Chile.
Nobody knows what time it is in Chile. You'll buy an airline ticket in December for a flight that happens in May, and the time of the flight will change.
So where does the time go? Like, where does that hour go? Where, like, the airplane is still in the air for that fixed number of hours.
Oh, it's even worse than the international dateline.
It's not like it will fly fast.
The international dateline. We crossed that thing once. Those of you who are on Australia, you probably don't really care.
We have at least 2 Australians here.
So yeah, we crossed the international dateline, and it was yesterday, and then we flew back the other. No, we flew across it, and it was tomorrow. And then we flew back over it, and we lost. Like, it went from like Tuesday to Thursday. It's like voodoo.
It's pretty freaky.
Anyway, let's get to business.
Let's get to business. This is an AMA, which we often do just as a straight up demo and keep forgetting that it is an Ask Me Anything event. And we do have questions today.
I think we need AMA to mean something else.
What?
AMA means tech support's going to test new stuff on you. That doesn't
Yes.
start with A or
M or
M.
A or anything. It doesn't really add up at all.
Always making
Awesomeness.
That's right.
Always making
All right.
awesomeness.
Why don't you tell them where we are? Because things look a little bit different.
We are in a new studio, which is halfway finished.
That's styrofoam.
I think.
They
yes.
use it for insulation.
This isn't a fancy Japanese paper wall. This is a half-constructed house.
Oh, but it's not filled in. Don't think that they're only going to insulate half of it. Although they do kind of. You see the gaps. Like, they don't really understand how insulation works.
They're special.
Anyway,
yes,
continue.
we will be polite and keep this a clean family show and not talk about our workers and how skillful they are. Skillful. Anyway, no, the house is coming along beautifully. And
we're going to show you more of it later.
Later today, we'll walk through. We are able to walk around now. We have amazing new microphones that are attached to us, and we're testing quite a bit of new equipment. We're testing all this new equipment in a new space.
Yeah.
We're giving the studio test drive, even though it's not complete. I think
It was my idea.
I think the sound will be a little bit different in here once we have solid walls and windows and stuff like that. Because right now we're practically outside. It's like a terrace right now, but you guys will see later when we take you for a walk. So we'll have equipment to talk about, the house to talk about. We had another adventure yesterday that we need to talk to you guys about. We have questions from patrons that came in before the show, and of course I have a demo to do. Today we'll be talking about coloring fabrics, specifically silver fabrics. So I have some color theory to run by you. What, bats? Bat country.
I'm just checking the new equipment. This is new. Well, the camera's not new. The light's new, and I bought a new tripod. Lisa didn't want to let me buy it, but I assured her that it would allow me to have all of this not in the frame when you're filming off of this camera over here. That's
Yes,
not filming
we'll
off of yet.
switch to the other
And it's
to
going
the
to
other
look like
view.
we're like in television land or something, as long as I don't break it.
Well,
I have no idea how long that light will last.
today should be fun. Yes, I have a light on my actual drawing board today.
Allegedly.
But first, we want to show you something that only... Wait, what?
What are we showing them? Because I probably don't have it queued up. What are we showing them? The first thing?
The stuff from yesterday.
Oh, okay. Tech support's going to stop talking now. See, notice how this camera's not moving?
I'll
It's
give
because
them-
I'm so late today.
Yes, because it's actually an hour early for us today. And yesterday was quite a hectic day. One of you already knows what's been going on yesterday. I've been updating.
I know.
Two of you already know what's been going on yesterday. Lori was getting live updates from the field, raw footage on the phone as things were happening. It was very exciting. The rest of you will get a nicely edited full-length episode on what happened yesterday. But today we'll also show you some clips that we took from the drone, right? We have drone footage for them?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll show you some drone footage from another fire adventure that happened yesterday. This was quite different from our usual experience.
I actually was going to make, I haven't made a video in like a month because
It's true.
stuff keeps happening. And
Stuff
yesterday I was
keeps-
like, I'm going to do it today. And I sat down and Lisa's like, darling, there's another fire. So let's roll that. We're going to try and talk over it. The timing might be a little bit off, but we will do our best to time it. Remember, that's like got a slight delay.
Okay.
First of all, we should still have audio. So this is what I woke up to. Yeah, we do. This is what I woke up to yesterday. Not what we woke up to. This is about 500 meters from our house. And within the space of a few minutes, it burned through that blackberry bramble and started coming through this field. This field is grain, wheat that they cut off. Oh, so we got to talk faster. So they sent in planes. And the planes were doing dumps, and I had to be really careful with my drone not to be in their flight path because they were flying super, super low. Yeah, so this burned through this field. The local fire department showed up. The only reason I'm talking is because I know the timing.
Yep,
the
yep.
local fire department showed up, and their job is to protect the houses, so they defended the line. Oh, okay. So later on, we actually went out there when the agricultural fire department showed up. They're called CONAF, and we offered to help them with the drone so that they could see where there were still hot spots and where there were canals with water that they could fill their equipment from. So this is a bunch of them walking around out there near the part of it that was still burning. And now this is where it ended yesterday. On the right-hand side, in the kind of the top right corner, you see a gray line going from right to left, sort of up to the top center. That's the blackberry line that was burning in the first clip. That entire field in the top right corner is the field that you saw burning in the rest of the clips. And then there's that green field at the very, very top right. And then there's basically the river, and then there's our house. So it burned through this entire field. I don't know how much this is, 10 hectares, maybe more. So for you people who are in the United States, that you people.
You people.
For those of you Americans, that's 12 and a, no, so hectare is 1.25 acres? No, it's 2.5 acres. 25 acres, basically.
Yeah, looks about right.
That's our little truck down there in the bottom left, disappearing behind
Oh,
stuff.
we're in the video. Nice.
Yay. So anyway, that was our day yesterday, which was mostly spent sitting out on the terrace out here, watching the fire smoke over there
Yes.
and flying drone missions.
We couldn't really
few
concentrate
minutes.
on anything else, but we got amazing footage of the planes flying by and the dogs having a picnic with us. It was actually surprisingly fun for a really scary day because we couldn't really do anything. Like, what do you do in this situation? It wasn't the kind of fire that we could go out and help because there weren't any houses there to protect, and there wasn't really a water source anywhere. There's the river that runs by, but the fire wasn't near the river. It was in the fields. And there wasn't one point of fire. It was just spreading really fast and really wide across the field. So we're not equipped for that kind of stuff. So we called it in, and the brigades showed up. Yay. And the only thing we could do was sit here and wait for it to get close enough to our house in case we need to protect it. But it got close, but not that close.
That green field that it didn't get to burn through, fortunately, was completely filled with water. They do flood irrigation, so it wasn't going to cross that. It would have had to cross into the trees along the river and then burn through all that green footage.
Footage, foliage.
Foliage, thank you. I'm a YouTuber.
Speak is hard.
Burn through all of that to get to the house. So we set up points where we said, okay, if the fire reaches here, we'll roll hose. The pump's already hooked up. We were going to move it to the river. Fortunately, we didn't have to do that.
Yeah, the guy with the field is amazing, whoever he is. We should bring him a cake or something.
They don't care.
Oh, they don't care.
They don't care. They don't even know whose field that is. We had to go door to door to find somebody.
But they all know who we are.
Tell them that story.
Lori also already knows this, but apparently we're famous. And not like YouTube famous,
Not
but
like in our own minds famous.
not in our own minds famous, but locally famous. We live kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Slurp my coffee now.
Slurp. In the countryside, people don't, I mean, the locals know each other well, but we're kind of estranged. And everything's so far away, like you saw in the video, like there are no houses there. People live really far away from each other. And we were in that area, the fire department asked us to find out who the property belongs to. So
First they thought it belonged to us.
Because we
"What
cared.
What are your names? And I'm like, don't matter.
Right? Did we do
Adrian.
something wrong?
Adrian.
We're sorry.
They're like, what's the name of this field? We're like, we don't know. They're like, aren't you the owners? They're like, no.
We're just
Why
the
are
guys
you
with the
here?
drone.
We're the guys with the drone.
Yeah. But we went to some house that we've never seen before, found a neighbor that we've never seen before in that area on the other side of the river. And when he asked us where we live and we explained, he said, "Oh, you're the gringos." We're the gringos.
They all know us.
So everyone, they talk about us and they know us.
Would you like to transition to the house, which is
Yeah.
probably how they kind of know us a little bit?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So,
We've been promising you guys to do
well, let's switch to the approach of the house, and then
Okay.
I'll need a minute to set up the other camera so that
Okay.
you can actually walk
around and show them
stuff.
the house. Yeah.
All right. So, basically, if I did a 180-degree turn from where I was filming with the drone before and flew back, this is all river trees. What are they called? Wallas? Wagas? Waplas?
Waddles.
Wattles. These are wattles for you Australians. And then you get this very epic and majestic house that appears, which was already known in the local community as La Casa Grande. And then
The big house.
Then we doubled its size.
In a matter of months. In like 2 months.
Yeah. So this shows you the current state of the house, which they finished the roof last week. The covered terrace area that you see down below is going to be screened in so that we can hang out there. And I plan to put a projector in there so that we can sit out there and watch movies in the summertime. And yeah, so there's the terrace, there's me, and now we're back. That's the house.
Pretty cool, right?
That's the house that was literally not very far from the fire. We're totally equipped. We could have defended it.
And we were prepared to.
Yeah.
But it would still be unpleasant. And it's brand new. All of this construction is brand new. To
I
see
would
it go
not.
up in flames would be really heartbreaking.
I would not have been happy.
But you guys see how much empty space we have around the house. And right now, because this summer we had a drought. So everything's dead. There's no vegetation around the house. There isn't even dry grass. It's just dirt.
Well, there's some dry grass, but it would burn really
But it's
fast.
so tiny. It's not like
around the house.
Around the house.
No, we've got like a 15-meter fire break around the house.
Yeah, exactly. And eventually we'll have grass there, but with the workers here, there's no point in keeping a nice turf. Like, why?
Yeah, 'cause
They
drive
trample
over it.
everything. So we just let it go to dust. Next year, we'll have a nice lawn. All right, so what can I do to show them?
Why don't I switch to you over here?
Am I here now?
Yeah,
Hello?
now you're there.
Hello?
See, look.
See?
No
camera. Usually I have this
Monstrosity.
robot-looking thing behind me. It's like in video games when you have a sidekick who's a robot, and it's always behind you. I had one named Deathclaw in one of the games that we play.
He was cool.
He was cool, yeah. So my camera used to be like my Deathclaw, but now it's not there, and I have a nice clean background, which eventually will be a clean wall, and then a backdrop. And are you able to answer some technical questions, love?
Me?
Yes.
Oh God, maybe.
It's about cameras.
Okay.
Okay, Sam has a question that she sent in. Remember, this is an AMA, so what did we decide it stands for?
We talk about ourselves.
Always make awesomeness. Always make awesomeness or ask me anything. Sam's question is this. Are you listening?
I'm listening.
Okay. So Sam's going on a walkabout, on a drive-about.
A drive-about.
A drive-about around Australia in her van with her dog. It's going to be an epic adventure that I think will last about a year. And she's asking what kind of a camera she can get that she could have on her dashboard, maybe, like constantly rolling so she can get a lot of footage. She also wants to get some slow motion shots. And so like a travel cam that she can get that she can also upload to YouTube, and what kind of software she would use for editing and uploading. So I have a million of ideas that are mine. And of course I will recommend DaVinci Resolve, but we disagree on that point.
Who?
You and I.
No, we don't.
We don't? You
Not
don't
really.
like Resolve, you like Premiere.
I prefer. That's because I spent a bunch of money on Premiere.
Oh,
for her.
I like...
She's like, I'm going to go back to using the free software. I like it better.
First of all, I don't sound like that. But DaVinci Resolve has the best color grading.
It is. It's actually a professional. It's a much better color grading tool.
And I'm all about color. So it's kind of important to me. So I do color in DaVinci Resolve. I will write all of these things in the video description also, with links to how to find them and where to download them and stuff. And of course, Sam, I'll reach out to you personally after the show so we can chat about it as well. But DaVinci Resolve is the program that I really love that you can get for free. That's an editing program. Very easy to learn. There are tutorials online that you can do, that you can look at to, get your hands on it. And it's great for color grading. Premiere is... I do my videos, I do the color grading in Resolve, and then I switch to Premiere, and it's complicated.
Premiere costs money. And
does all the same thing.
Well, if you're using lots of plugins, it's actually the real reason that I switched to Premiere. If you're using lots of plugins, people build plugins for Premiere.
That's true.
Then they build them for Resolve, maybe. But honestly, Resolve, the free version of Resolve, is fantastic.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's what we started with, and if it weren't for the fact that I wanted to do like visual effects stuff, we would have stayed with it.
Yes, it's
professional.
I still do all the videos that you see, the tutorials that I release every week are done mostly in DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of cameras.
Okay, so there's a small flaw in, not really a flaw, there's an unrealistic expectation. If you have something that's constantly rolling, that means that you have to go through all of that video footage to pick out the parts that you want to keep.
And most of it is going to be the same.
And that's just never going to happen, despite your best intentions. Let me tell you how never going to happen it's going to be. My parents came to visit for a week, and I planned to make them a
year
video.
ago.
I planned to make them a video for their trip, and we shot a whole bunch of stuff all over the place, and I've never made them the video because I just have to sit down for like a month and go through all of that footage, and I'm always just finding something else to do. So if you go on a walkabout for a year, it's just never going to happen. Instead, if you know where you're going and you know that basically there's a story in everything. Mm-hmm. So if you go somewhere, you pull over at a rest stop, you see do they have cactus in Australia? You see a waddle in Australia, you see a kangaroo, I don't know. You can get out and you can turn that thing into a memorable event.
Right.
You want to shoot the minimum amount of footage to capture the event, and that's, like, our brains pick up information very quickly. So let's say there's a kangaroo on the side of the road beating up another kangaroo. Because that's what they do, right?
That's all we know about kangaroos.
So you can, have one shot that's you, with the camera pointed at you, being like, oh, kangaroos doing what they do. Right. And then you can have another shot of the kangaroos doing their thing, and then you can walk to a slightly different angle and get one shot of one kangaroo getting beaten up, and then walk to a different angle and get a shot of the kangaroo who's doing the beating, and then get a shot of you running away, and you can say, oh, they're chasing me, whether it's true or not. And that's a story.
Yes.
And then you can get 30 seconds of each of those things, and then an establishing shot of like where you are and like the two kangaroos in the distance, and that's a story. You can cut all of that into something that lasts 20 seconds, and that's that.
And you can prepare for this by having a list of things that you're planning to film. For instance, you're going with Max, your dog. Have a special folder for footage of Max. Max in a new location. Max not being able to hear that you're calling his name. Max in the pool or something. Just several things of Max being Max because you are on a trip with your dog. Nature shots, fire damage. I'm sure you'll see a lot of that around the country. That's a story right there, how much has been lost. The car itself, how is the vehicle behaving? There you go. That's 4 separate lines already, and that's more than enough. Keep in mind that this is stuff that you're going to be living through, so that's a year of experience. To go through the footage is about 5 to 25 times longer than the actual experience.
Yeah.
So that's several years of footage for you to go through that you've already experienced, and it's probably not going to be that exciting for you.
So that leads to, what do you want to make the video for? Is the video
Right.
for you to remember things? Then you just need enough to trigger the memories. The memories are actually what matters. If the video is for you to show your friends and family, remember, first of all, that nobody likes watching anybody else's vacation videos. Period. The end. Doesn't matter how good it is, nobody likes it.
That's
so,
true.
So if you sit them down
Because they wish they would be there.
If you sit them down for 2 hours, it's not going to happen.
Even the shortest vacation videos, nobody watches.
So
But-
strategies around that are to make short video stories and post them as they happen.
Yes, especially if I don't know if you're planning to make it a vlog or a single video. I think a vlog is more engaging.
A vlog would be more engaging because then you're weaving the story through time.
Yeah.
And you can refer back to previous things, and
We'll watch it.
we'll watch it. Yeah, sorry, I wouldn't sit down and watch 2 hours straight of your.
That's true, but we would
vacation
tune
video.
in to watch
Yeah,
5 to
we'd watch
15
5 to
minutes.
15 minute episodes of like, here's what happened in the last
Yeah.
week or whatever.
In terms of camera
I was
itself.
going to say something else about that. If it comes back to me, I'll tell you. In terms of camera, I see that you just posted in the chat that all you know is GoPro. The current GoPro 8 is pretty amazing. It's completely waterproof. It'll shoot 4K. It'll shoot 1080, which is the 1080 is FHD and versus UHD. You don't need to produce your videos in 4K. That's going to require a much beefier computer with a lot of RAM and a lot of CPU to do. But what you can do is you can shoot in 4K and you can downscale that to 1080p.
Yeah, I was going to say GoPro. I think GoPro is a great travel cam.
The reason that you may want to downscale is if you're shooting in 1080p, in FHD, full HD, and you try to zoom in on something, because your framing is not going to be perfect. Imagine those kangaroos are 100 meters away from you. Well, your frame's going to be like this, and the kangaroos are going to be like that big. And when you try and zoom in, you're going to lose quality because the pixels that are this big are suddenly getting larger. So it's going to look fuzzy. 4K is 4 times greater resolution than 1080p. Mm-hmm. So you can shoot in 4K, and if you need to zoom in on something, you have all of the resolution to do it, and then you export in 1080p, and you still have high quality. You will need, even for doing stuff in HD, you will need a decent computer, something that's got, I mean, most laptops today you can get with, so you've got laptops that have like 4 gigs of RAM, you don't want that, or a small processor.
Yeah.
Try and get something that's got 4 or 6 cores of reasonable fast processor, and get minimum 8 gigs of RAM. If you can get 16 gigs of RAM,
better.
that's better. My laptop, not this one, but the one that I work on most of the day, has 6 cores and 32 gigabytes of RAM, and I can edit videos in 4K.
And in terms of slow motion, should we talk about frame rate?
Okay, so the GoPro will also do slow motion, but what matters in slow motion is all you're doing is you're shooting at a fast frame rate and you're playing it in a slow frame rate. So if you were to shoot at 60 frames per second and then play it back in 30 frames per second, then your clip will appear to be half as fast. If you shoot at 30 frames per second and you try and play it half fast, you don't have enough frames. So you'll end up with this jitter as
jittery.
it duplicates frames. The GoPro can shoot in at least 120 frames per second. I'm not sure if it shoots in 4K at 120 frames per second, but if you're doing slow-mo, you'll be close enough to something to see the event. So 1080p, 120 frames per second, and you can now slow that down to 30 frames per second, which is 25%, or 24 frames per second, which is 20%. And that will give you that epic motion of the kangaroo that you're looking for. GoPro 8, if I was going to go on your trip and I wanted to take one camera, I would take the GoPro 8.
And a phone if you have it. If you have a phone with a camera, most modern phones are actually quite impressive. Like all the footage that I shot yesterday, I shot with my iPhone.
iPhone 11 Pro, also fantastic. You can get it with a terabyte of memory. It'll shoot 4K 60, 1080p at 240 frames per second, which is just ridiculous.
And it has a slow motion option on it already, so you don't have to do post-production. If you know that you're shooting something in slow motion, like I did some slow motion shots of the ash coming up from Adrian's feet as he was walking across the ground.
In it.
Yes. And I just switched to slow-mo mode and shot it, and it will be perfectly sufficient for YouTube.
What the iPhone does is it actually shoots it in 120 frames per second, but records it at 30 frames per second. So it does all of that time shifting for you. Regardless of whether you get a GoPro, well, I think you should get a GoPro. Evelyn says that she's used an HD dash cam, and you can put the GoPro on your dash so that you can get footage of you like driving into a hotel, or if something happens, you can like press record on it. You should keep it plugged into via USB, plugged into a USB thingy in your cigarette lighter.
Thingy, that's a technical term.
That's a technical term. USB 12 volt, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. You plug it into your car, you plug the cable into it, you plug it into something else, and your battery doesn't die. One of those. Just make sure that the one of those that you get does 5 volts at 2.4 amps. A lot of them do 5 volts at 1 amp, and that's not enough to power even a modern phone, let alone a real-time device like a GoPro. You can put it on your dash, you can film with it. Also be mindful of the dash gets lots of sun, so it's likely to overheat. So you may not want to leave it up there. You'll have to see how that works. But you can imagine that you'll be out and something will happen and you're like, where's my GoPro? I have to get it out. I have to turn it on. I have to whatever. You probably don't sound like that either. I'm sorry.
I don't think you should. He thinks all women sound like Minnie Mouse.
Anyway, having a nice phone, we can get into our phones with like a single press. You can get the camera active and you can start shooting like that. So having this accessible, don't be afraid to use it. Modern phones shoot very high quality footage. It's a very long answer.
Very long answer, but very useful, I think, and very detailed.
We are equipped for our own walkabout if you wish.
Let's do it. Let's do a walkabout, show them the house, and then we'll do some drawing.
Okay.
Coloring.
Coloring.
Okay, what camera are we on? What are they seeing?
At the moment, they're seeing us still, and now they are seeing... I wonder if... Did the audio switch? Hang on. You gotta turn that off. There's like duplicate. Okay. Yeah, now we're good. And now they're seeing this camera. So if you want to walk, I will...
This being able to walk thing is amazing. Usually we have the mics set up in front of the station.
You're backlit.
So I have to.
There we go.
So we have to be in front of them and facing them. But now I walk around freely, no cables, nothing.
I actually bought these for Rancher, the company that I work for, to take to a conference where I was going to be doing live streaming for them. And the conference got canceled because of the COVID-19 coronavirus outbreak.
Look how far I am.
Oh my God, I can't even see you. You're
Look
like
how
a kangaroo in the
much
distance.
space. So this room is called the Great Hall.
Who's that?
Oh, here comes a dog. Come here, honey. Come here. Say hello, Shelby. This is my puppy, Shelby. Shelby's my best friend in the whole world. And this is Foxtail. Foxtail is also my best friend in the whole world. I have 3 of those, And they're all here today.
You're backlit again.
With all this construction going on, we're practicing being indoor-outdoor dogs. That means they can freely come in and out.
Lizard! Foxtail has some lizard gum.
It was a little gruesome. Foxtail eats a lot of wildlife. We don't know exactly how much, but judging from his shape, I think he eats quite a bit. All right, so this is a space just as big as the Great Hall, but outside. This is going to be screened in, and it will be the terrace area. And this right here is Tech Support's projection wall. We'll have a projector, and we'll have a nice screen here, and we'll play movies on it. Show them the fancy ceiling.
Fancy ceiling. Do you wish to speak about the fancy ceiling?
The ceiling is fancy.
It's fancy. It's actually vaulted.
It's quite cool.
Yeah, I don't know how tall it is.
Do you want to
Like 3
show?
meters, 4 meters, something?
You want to show them out? I can't go further than this because look at my shoes.
You're wearing slippers. Oh, that's totally inappropriate. Okay.
Inappropriate.
Well, what do you want me to show?
Parking area.
Parking area?
Yeah.
Oh,
Can we go
okay.
that far?
Yeah, you can just stand here and talk.
Okay, no, because I don't know what you're showing them. You talk.
Oh, okay. Ugh. This is
I'm gonna hang out here with the dogs.
the parking area. That's my car. When we first built the house, they built us a 2-car parking area, but then they put steps in half of it, so it was actually like a 1 1/3 car parking area. So I've now built a proper 2-car parking area. And I don't think I can go all the way out to the side to show them the Selchas.
I think that's fine.
Yeah, so this is the vaulted area. So this will all be screened in.
Look, upside down beetle.
Oh. This will all be screened in because between December and January we get really bad horseflies, and we basically don't leave the house. So we want to be able to sit outside. So it'll be screened in and nice.
So there you go. New space in progress.
Yep.
Let's go color.
Let's go color. There'll be a
Say,
sliding glass
honey.
door here. That sliding glass door, in fact, that one right there is going to go here. And that window over there is going to go over there.
So I see that you guys are writing in the comments, but since we're walking about, we can't answer them yet. But as soon as I start coloring.
Over here. There it is.
Someone will answer.
There. More windows. We're going to put a fireplace in here.
I'm still really far away.
Hello. Yeah, so this first studio, this was my idea. I want to have space to move around, set up all the cameras, not be tripping over ourselves.
Yes, we were getting a little crowded in another space because you see how much, even though we're able to make this frame look really clean, you see how much equipment there is.
Yeah, we need like 4 times the amount of space for equipment and then proper spacing.
And it's tripods mostly. Tripods take up a lot of space because even though you have a little camera, the surface area that it takes up on the floor is suddenly enlarged because of the tripod legs.
Oh, look, it's Lisa and Lisa. It's a Lisa-ception. Oh, Lisa. Okay, I'm done.
It's a
I'm
little
sorry.
freaky.
I have to walk all the way back around because I have to switch the camera myself.
Can you switch me to my fancy drawing camera?
Yeah, I can. First of all, there's slider. You want drawing camera?
Drawing camera, please.
Okay.
Here.
Oh, wait. Look,
Right?
look.
Oh my God, Lisa within Lisa. We have a bit of a delay, so
I'm sorry, I'm such a nerd. I can't help it.
This is getting silly. Okay, so finally, silver fabrics. So
Lisa wanted me to wear a silver dress.
I
said no.
did, but
She was like, "Do you have anything silver?"
he said no.
Like,
He said it's too cold in the morning still. If it was an afternoon show, he would do it. I am getting the stink eye.
Yes, you are. Oh, the light on that's really good.
So yes, this is really cool, and actually we can test it by looking at this color wheel, which all the colors are perfectly saturated. The color wheel is here for a demo, for a little explanation that I have to do in a little bit. But first, I wanted to thank you guys for this awesome topic. The whole idea behind the Feather Wolf gatherings is that you guys can ask me for very specific topics that I normally wouldn't be able to get to very quickly, because with the amount of questions that I'm getting these days based on my shows, I have a list that's about 50 requests long now, and each request takes me 2 to 3 weeks to produce. And with the list of 50 requests, if you ask me for a silver dress tutorial just on YouTube, it may take me several months and up to a year to actually get to it. And by then, anything else can happen, and I can get carried away doing something else. But if you are a Feather Wolf in my Patreon club, then you can ask me for things that are coming up, for the show that's coming up in just a month. So because you guys are Feather Wolves, you didn't have to wait forever and indefinitely for your silver dresses. You said silver dresses, and here they are. I've posted 5 versions of this page for you guys on Patreon. So if you have your printouts, pick any one of those that you wish, and you can color along or just watch the show and color later. I thought I would do something a little bit different this time. So instead of doing fully detailed book quality characters, I made like fashion show sketches, because one of you also asked me to do some abstract art. So I thought this was going to be a nice crossover. It's not too abstract, like Picasso abstract, that nobody can really relate to in terms of coloring, nor is it my usual almost realistic style of drawing, because we don't care about the characters here. We don't care about their hair or where they are located or the lighting on them, really. All we care about is the dresses. So this is the best way to present them. And I gave you 3 different types to talk about the different fabrics, because silver is very tricky. And I'm very surprised that you went for silver over any other color or just fabric in general, but silver, and it's not easy to explain silver. So we'll start with talking a little bit about what the color gray is, because silver is the color gray, but in its metallic form, so slightly reflective. And of course, that will take us to different types of fabrics, because some fabrics are more reflective, some are more textured, some are a little bit shimmery, some are glittery, and some are just plain fabrics that look more gray than silver. So what is gray? First of all, this is going to blow tech support's mind, I'm sure, but gray...
blowing his nose, so...
Gray...
I can only handle one thing.
Hey, family show, remember? Family show. Dear God, what have I done?
I'm testing the mute function of the microphones now.
Okay, well, maybe we'll blow your minds then. Somebody's mind will be blown. Gray is not a color. So...
Wait.
Oh, he's coming back. He's coming back.
Is it a tone?
No, it is not.
Oh.
Well, yes and no. It's complicated.
I mean, I can be wrong. I'm okay.
I'm sorry. The colors that we perceive are the colors of the rainbow, which starts with red, go through yellow, orange, yellow, green, blue,
Blood,
violet,
sun,
and back to red. And if you guys saw my video on color terms that every colorist should know, I explain the difference between hue, tint, tone, and shade. And those are all different variations of each color. And saturation is how strong the color is. So for instance, the color red, this is its purest form. The color red can be darker or lighter if we add or subtract black from it. If we add more black to it, it will be darker. If we add more white to it, it will be lighter. Adding gray or black will result in a new tone or shade, and adding white will result in a new tint. But it's not actually a new color. So pink isn't technically a color. Pink is a tint of red. The only colors that we as humans see are in this color wheel. So the color itself is the hue, so it's only the pure form. You may say that, but look, if you add black, then that red will technically go all the way down to black. Isn't that a color? No, it's not. It's a shade.
No.
No, you would be wrong. It's a shade, and it will never go to pure black. It will go to almost black to remain a shade, and as soon as it goes to pure black, it becomes black. And what is black? Black is the absence of color, and white is the presence of color, of all the colors of the rainbow. And gray is what we get between black and white. If you create a gradient from pure black to pure white, you can divide it into as many lines as you wish, or you can have a smooth gradient like we have in the coloring here. Somewhere, anything that's between black and white that doesn't have a color inserted into it is gray. Now, my theory is that all the grays that we see are often colors that our human brain can't actually perceive. As humans, we're limited to how many colors we see. We only have 3 color receptors in our eyes, and that gives us this range of rainbow colors. But there are living organisms on this planet that see a lot more colors than we do. They have up to 15 color receptors. So there are, and different types of photography also reveal that certain objects that appear to be a single shade of a single color actually have designs in them. Like dandelions actually have 2 layers of other designs in the petals that we can't see. And we just see a single yellow. So there are other colors there that we cannot see. But there are certain colors that I think we perceive as the colors that we know, like yellow or green. Like there could be other colors within green that we can't perceive. But then there are others that don't even match onto this palette that we can't perceive at all. And I think those we see as gray. Or, of course, there's just gray itself, where there is no color. That if it's possible, maybe it doesn't even exist. Maybe everything has color, and we're just unable to see some of them. But that's a lot of philosophy and speculation. The only thing that you need to understand is that when dealing with gray, we're dealing with not actually a color, but an illusion of how dark or light something is. And silver is the metallic version of that illusion of light or dark. So that actually becomes very tricky for colorists because they're trying to deal with color. They're trying to deal with the rest of the scene that isn't color. Like if your person, your human character is wearing a silver dress, you will probably color the rest of her in actual normal skin tones and hair tones, and her surroundings are going to have color. But then you have this dress that isn't made up of color. It's just made up of a reflective gray surface. And the thing to remember is because it's silver and metallic, that reflective surface is actually helpful to us because it will be reflecting some of the colors that we see that exist around our character. And that's one of the reasons that I've added these color splotches behind my characters, is to suggest that there's something in the background that will be reflected. If you can see in my sample, the colors are all complementary to each other. So I have a lot of purple, teal, and kind of ochre brown, golden ochre brown. And I have these 3 main colors appearing everywhere throughout this composition. This girl has more teal behind her, and then you see these same teals in this dress over here. You have purple accented by purple, and you have this yellow ochre accented back here. And throughout every single fabric that I'm demonstrating here, you see the details of those colors being reflected in the dress a little bit, because all surfaces are reflective to a certain degree. And silver surfaces are just a lot more reflective. So the most important thing in coloring silver anything is to realize that you can't be limited just by black and white. You have to introduce other colors because all silver has a little bit of a different tint to it as well, plus it's reflecting all the stuff around it. So I've prepared a bunch of different colors that I will be using. I have my Black Widows that I've pre-selected. I have a whole range of grays, black, brown, this olive brown, which is kind of greenish, a lavender color. And then on this side, I have Prismacolor pencils, and I have a bunch of purples, lavenders, some yellow ochre, a range of grays, both warm and cold. And on the lighter side, I also have lighter lilacs and lighter grays. And of course, I have white. I have my white gel pen. I have my white charcoal, and this new paint marker that I've been playing with that I really like. And I also have a silver pencil. Silver pencils get a really bad rap. Everyone says, including myself, if you saw my silver teapot drawing tutorial, don't just rely on a silver pencil to create a silver surface. And that is true. I can't just color in this dress with a silver pencil and expect to have this outcome. This looks the way that it does with the contrast because I've built it up that way. Because I'm not covering a flat surface. I'm coloring a dress that has a shape, and it's a dress that's draped over a girl who also has a shape. So there's a lot of fluidity here. There's a lot of movement here. There's a lot of light reflection here. So I can't expect this pencil to just do all that work for me. But it is an excellent pencil for creating the gradients, and I think that we should give it a shot and see what it can do. I've actually used it pretty heavily on this dress right here. And the only thing that you have to keep in mind is that you can't expect it to do the work for you. You have to use it as a gray pencil. And as soon as you realize that and you still add your darks and your lights to it, then it will treat you well. And I think it's actually better, instead of using a middle gray, to use silver. I think it adds just that little extra touch of silver realism to your coloring that you otherwise wouldn't be able to get. So don't neglect the silver pencils. So let's start with this dress, because I think it's the most dramatic in terms of how reflective the fabric is. I imagine this to be like a silk or a satin that's very reflective. So we'll start with that. And I'm working on, let me just move this out of the way a little bit so we can still see. And I did this sample drawing on light cream paper that's almost white, and the sample that I've printed today that has different colors behind the girls, you guys have this page, I've printed on brown paper. The same effects that I'm about to show you will work the same way on cream paper, brown paper, gray paper, white paper, even black paper, although black is a little bit more difficult to work with. But any kind of like middle toned paper, this kind of gray that I have in the background, all of these techniques will work. Now I chose brown for this because gray, of course, would be easier because we already have a gray middle tone for the dresses. But I chose brown because it's closer to the skin color of the girls, and it's a nice color contrast to what we're about to create with the silver. So with a warm tone for the background, the cold silver dresses will stand out more, and by color contrast, they will look more silvery. Whereas if everything was gray and then we have these gray reflective dresses, it will still be a really cool effect, but it won't have that dramatic realization of, wow, that dress is silver. It will just be like, it's a lot of gray, and it may even be confused for grayscale coloring. So you don't want to do that. You want it to be obviously gray or silver. So because I'm working on brown paper here, I'm actually going to start with my white charcoal. And I'm going to color in the areas that I know will have the most light on them. And actually you can color in the entire dress and then add your colors to it. But I know that because it's a highly reflective surface and we have to consider the entire shape of the girl, we'll have darker areas in the center. It's almost the same principle as coloring a backlit character, but for a different reason. Again, if you saw my silver teapot coloring tutorial, which I will link to this video post-production, but I think most of you here have already seen it. I would definitely recommend that you revisit it again. Oh, hey, can you please bring me a couple of Q-tips?
Yeah.
Thank you. I forgot to prepare those for the show. So for the silver Q-tip, for the silver Q-tip tutorial, for the silver teapot tutorial, I explained about how reflective surfaces work and how most of the black that you see in the teapot surface is actually a reflection of the darkness of the room behind it. So with silver, we see a lot of high contrast. We see almost black and we see almost white, or even pure black and pure white. And the more contrast you have, the more reflective the surface appears. So in other words, if we have a lot of gray tones and they're all very similar to each other, the surface looks less reflective. Thank you. And if we have high contrast with lots of black and lots of white and very little gradient in between, and those changes are happening very rapidly, then our brains perceive it as a highly reflective surface. But what is it actually reflecting? Why are certain parts black and certain parts white? And that is light and dark. The darker parts are the actual empty spaces in the room. So definitely please revisit that teapot tutorial, because it explains the three-dimensional shape and how it behaves when it is being presented as a reflective surface. Actually, Lori, I know you were stressing over this teapot tutorial quite a bit when you were doing your silver dress coloring, because that teapot was your only reference to silver that you had on my channel, and you used it to color the silver dress on one of my flapper girls. And it came out beautifully, and everywhere you posted that picture in other groups, the first The first comment that I saw people post was, "Oh my God, it looks totally silver," and that's because all the same principles really apply, even though it's fabric, because we're drawing characters that are very small on the page. Like we can't actually, like we're not getting into the texture of the fabric. They're not super micro photography close-ups. We're thinking of the dress as a single object. Because we're doing that, really all the same principles apply. But you do have to keep in mind the kind of fabric that you're working with. So you need to decide that before you start coloring. For instance, with these dresses, I've already made up my mind on what kind of fabric they will be. The one on the left is more like satin or silk, and this one is like a chiffon that's shimmery and probably has glitter on it, actual glitter. So if you already have that decision made before you start coloring, you can go and look at some reference photography online and look at it in terms of why am I perceiving this as a certain effect, not just how can I copy it, because your character is obviously different from whatever you find online. But you need to apply the same principles as you find in photography to your coloring. And how do you do that? That's actually a great topic for a tutorial. I should probably put that in my list of things to make for you guys. Because I often tell you use reference photography, but how do you use it? Because obviously you're not ever going to find the same exact images or the same exact poses or the same lighting that you imagine on your character. So the way that I do it is I look at photography, and when I find something that I like, I stare at it for a very long time, and I think of it in terms of why does my brain register it as a certain effect? Why does this dress look reflective to me? And I analyze it before I get to any decision making in art. So, okay, now I'm switching to a warm gray. This is probably 60 or 70% warm gray, but now it says 0% warm gray because it's been sharpened so far down. But it is PC 1054, so if anyone wants to look that up and find out what PC 1054 is in terms of percent, I'd say 60 at least. But it's like a middle to dark gray. And with this middle to dark gray, I will establish my darker parts of this dress. And because this is such a tiny drawing printed on a standard size page, I am doing my coloring in little circles or tiny little sketch marks like this. But I don't want to go crazy with big sketchy marks. Sometimes you see me coloring on a larger scale, and I'm just like shading, and then cross shading just to get the color in. But here we actually care about the little detail quite a bit. So I'm not applying a lot of color. I'm not applying it very strongly. I'm applying it in little circles. And I am trying to create a soft gradient here so that it's not a straight line between the gray and the white, but they blend one into another. Now, for now, this is a soft gradient. We will increase it by building up more colors that are stronger. No, not
Sam.
More colors, more gray that is stronger.
Sam has a question.
Sam has a question. What is the question?
Sam would like to know if you draw your dresses like this before you make them.
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes I draw them like that before I make them. But usually when I make them, they turn out a little bit different from my drawing because I don't actually know how to make patterns. And so I taught myself by tearing apart old dresses that I didn't wear anymore and trying to figure out how they're made. So a lot of times the things that happen in my dressmaking process are accidents or limitations based on what kind of fabric I have, both in color and in texture. Because some things that I draw like this for a sketch, they're not possible with the fabric that I own. But yes, I do make these sketches. I used to have a book of dress ideas. I don't know where that went. It's probably somewhere in the studio. What else is happening in the chat? I haven't been able to look at it since.
And I haven't been doing my job because I've been walking around adjusting cameras. La, la, la.
La, la, la.
My job today is to play with things.
How did that mute thing go?
I think fine. Nobody complained about hearing me blow my nose.
Oh, okay.
I've been walking around the house muted and stuff. I just unmuted myself.
Was your mind blown when I said that gray isn't a color?
Totally.
Yeah?
Completely.
Okay, good. I didn't want that to be.
As promised. I'm actually fixing a dog collar right now.
Wonderful.
Do you want to know why I'm fixing a dog collar right now?
Is she in the wood again?
She's in the trash.
She's in the trash. Trash puppy.
Our workers are incapable of cleaning up after themselves, so they left a big black trash bag over there filled with candy wrappers and tomatoes, and we've had dogs coming in the night and tearing it apart.
Yes, our workers are 8 years old.
Yeah, they're older than us. It's bizarre. I have to have a talk with them tomorrow. Anyway, I heard Shelby eating something, and I went out, and I'm like, "What are you eating?" And there's like candy bar wrappers and stuff that we cleaned up this morning. She's been digging in the trash. So I'm going to put her collar back on her.
But she did.
Oh, this is probably going to electrocute me, isn't it?
She is. Yes, the dogs have electrical collars because the property doesn't have fencing. Oh. It's too wild and open. It's impossible for us to have fencing because 2 of the borders of the land are actually rivers. So you can't put a fence there. I mean, we could put it really close to us, but then we would miss out on our own beautiful river experience. And then the other borders are like in the middle of the forest, and they keep changing because of the river flow again.
Because everything keeps burning.
Everything keeps burning. Yeah, just fencing is not possible on this property, but we do have a lot of distractions, like rabbits. We have a lot of rabbits that the dogs chase, and Shelby especially is very adventurous. It would be very easy for her to chase something like a cow or a rabbit or a person and get lost or get in trouble or get shot on somebody else's property for trespassing.
Shoot dogs.
Jose was about to shoot.
Oh, that's because that dog was stealing his chickens. Omega?
Yeah, Omega,
yeah,
exactly.
She was sneaking around stealing his chickens.
You don't think Shelby would steal his chickens?
If Shelby's at Jose's house stealing his chickens, she'll come home.
That's true.
She'll steal our chickens.
She would steal our chickens. That's why the chickens have an aviary. So the dogs have an in-ground fence that is an electric fence. And they have collars that have beeps on them. So when they approach the fence, they get the beep warning. Now, Foxtail is very well trained with the beeps, and the beeps you can hear the beeps now. Those are them. Foxtail is very well trained. When he hears the beeps, he steps like several feet back. And
in fact, he just heard the beeps.
He's
all the way over there. He's leaving.
Oh, buddy, it's okay.
I'm going to mute myself again.
So those are the beeps that tell him that he's approaching the edge of the rendered universe, like in a video game. It's like you can't go further than this. But Shelby is constantly testing hers. So when she hears the beeps, she's like, oh, okay, I'm not supposed to cross over here. But if she doesn't hear the beeps, she will test, and in a couple of hours or the next day, she will cross over and go exploring. As she's doing right now. The beeps were off. Apparently her battery went dead this morning, and immediately she tested it, and she was like, oh, I can cross here, and she crossed, and now she's digging in the trash in an area that is intentionally beyond the dog reach. We've set up the workers with an area that's outside of the dog fence so that the dogs don't bother them. But she tested the collar, and she tested it, and no beeps, therefore she can cross. So the collar had to be fixed. And they also have it for, back when we had a cat, the cat was an indoor cat, and the dogs were outdoor dogs. And so to protect the cat, Weasel, we had a line around the house as well, so that the dogs could only enter when we speak a secret word and when there are no beeps. That way we kept our cat and dog separation. But now the cat's gone, and the dogs can come in and out of the house pretty much as they please. As you saw this morning, they're just hanging out with us on the terrace. Okay, so now I switched to a 90% warm gray. This is PC 1058. And I'm adding the darker parts. And here I want to go as dark as possible. You can even use pure black on these effects. With silver, you can break almost all the rules that I've ever taught you guys about realistic coloring, because it's not actually a very realistic effect. Again, it's not a real color, and we're not dealing with an organic material or creature or substance. Like when we're doing skin color, using gray is not a good idea. Like using gray for shadows is not a good idea, because naturally we don't really see shadows as gray. We see them as a little bit brownish, a little bit bluish, a little bit purple, but never actually pure gray. like we see what we see in the shadow, and this is why, again, this is why this is called shade. What we see in the shadow is a certain color diluted by gray or black, and that's the shade of it. But it's not actually pure gray. The way that we perceive shadows on organic objects is a shade that is diluted by grayish blue or grayish purple. And that's how we actually see them. But with silver, it's a little bit different because it's not a skin tone, obviously. And even the animals that are grayish or silver in color, like certain animals will have gray fur, it's not 100% gray. There's a little bit of a brown undertone. There's a little bit of a beige undertone. There's always going to be a little bit splash of an organic color. But this thing isn't organic. This is a machine-made, machine-dyed fabric that is probably pure silver and has no color in it at all. So we can go crazy with really dark grays. We can add pure black to the darkest parts. We can add pure white to the lightest parts. But after all, when everything is established, the lightest and the darkest parts are established, then we can add a splash of color of the stuff that may be around that's now reflecting. And that's another reason why I like using a warmer color paper for this kind of an effect. You see how I use the brown toned paper, and where I made the soft gradient between gray and white. Can you zoom me in a little bit on the...
I was about to ask, yeah. Also, Lori's asking if she should have her dress page reprinted because the printer where she got it printed didn't do it in such a way that she can see the color swatches behind the models.
Oh, yeah, then I would get it reprinted. If she can't see them at all, then they probably printed it with the light and dark setting set too low. So if she gave them this page with the... So I gave you guys 5 versions of the page with the color swashes grayed out, with the color swashes just outlined, with no color swashes at all, and I think either a purple or brown version, like a sepia version for you to print, which is what I used here. Now, if you gave them one of the other ones with the empty swashes and that's how it printed, then obviously it printed correctly. But if you gave them this and you can't see the blue and the purple and the green behind them, then there's no excuse for them. You should have them redo it because it's not correct.
Is that better?
That's much better, thank you. So what I was saying is where I created the gradient here from gray to white, you can see a little bit of the brown of the paper showing through. And that's a really cool effect for silver because that's automatically a suggestion of the dress reflecting the surrounding atmosphere. So you don't even have to think about matching the atmosphere to the dress because it's already there and the reflection kind of happens automatically. It's like magic. What else is happening in the...
Lori says that they printed them all dark.
They printed them...
Maybe they printed them in black and white.
Maybe they printed them in black and white. Yeah, I mean, honestly, you don't need them as long as you have the outlines of the girls and the dresses. That's really what you're playing with. If you printed all of them, then you also have the empty ones where you can add your own colors to the background. And also, I didn't use any scientific theory to pick these colors. I just picked the colors that are pleasant to me. And that also made me think of silver because a lot of times blue and purple are associated with silver. A lot of times silver even appears a little bit bluish. And of course, silver as a material, like silver as a metal, often has different tints to it because of what it may be mixed with. Like if it's not pure silver, if it has a little bit of copper in it or some other imperfections in it, it could be a little bit more yellowish, it could be a little bit more bluish, it could be a little bit more like bronze. There's a whole bunch of discoloration that can happen with real silver. But the important thing is, regardless of how wrongly or badly they printed it, as long as you have the dresses, you can play with all of these effects. And that right there is an excellent example of why I don't do grayscale pages. A lot of people keep asking me to do more grayscale art, and I won't do it. I'm sorry. There's a lot of really great grayscale art out there, and even for coloring. So I'm not saying that it's bad or it's wrong or you should never color grayscale, because some grayscale coloring art out there is absolutely fantastic, but the best of it is printed with professional publishing companies where the artist gets to select their paper and they go through several months of trial of how it will actually be printed so that they're guaranteed to deliver the same design that they see on the screen to their client. I don't have a way of doing that. I will have to rely, if I'm giving you PDFs that are grayscale, you will always have this problem with your personal printer. And I can't give you a product that's anything less than perfect and awesome. That's just not how I roll. So if there's a possibility of it printing distorted and then you having to deal with that, I just can't do it. I also, and the publisher that I'm using doesn't offer a different kind of a paper where you can control the grayscale effect. I've played with it. I've tested some grayscale printing and it's acceptable, but it's not amazing. And it's not useful for teaching purposes or for coloring purposes. Like, I think that if you have all of your shadows already established there, there's several things that are happening. First, the gray color is too strong. If it's strong enough to be readable and seen as a beautiful grayscale drawing, then for coloring purposes, the gray that exists on the page is too strong for you to change it to any color that you want. So when we're dealing with skin tones, the shadows that are presented in the grayscale coloring page are overwhelming. You can't make them a certain shade of blue or peach or pink or whatever you may wish. Like, you will forever have that gray undertone, and it's just not realistic. So you have that you're dealing with, and also you are completely you're stuck with the light source that the artist gave you. So you're not learning anything, and you're not able to introduce your own light source. For instance, if you wanted to color something with very dramatic lighting, with the light coming from behind your character or from the side of your character, or underlit, like if they're telling a campfire story and they have the really dramatic underlit glow on their chin, or like the fortune teller with the underglow of her crystal ball that we did. You know, if you have a grayscale version of that page that already has all the shadows established, you're no longer able to make those decisions for yourself. So there are many, many, many reasons why I don't offer grayscale, but it doesn't mean that it's bad or that you shouldn't play with it. And there are also, my other philosophy is there are plenty of other artists who do it and who are content doing it and already have a system worked out for what they offer. So it already exists out there. There are very professional artists who do it. I don't need to do it because I do something different and I offer something different. I want you guys to learn to make your own choices and to play with, to play on the next level, not just fill in the outlines, but to actually make art. So, wow, that like totally, I'm out of breath now.
Amen.
I'll take
let's just
I'll take a coffee break.
The slider here. Remember that they can hear you slurping in your coffee.
Slurp.
Coffee, slurp. When I'm traveling and I call Lisa from wherever, it's usually like I wake up, I start the coffee, I call Lisa.
Yes,
and
the
then we
morning
spend a half
call.
an hour talking on the phone. And then same thing before she goes to bed, because usually I'm time zones ahead of her. So I'll be sitting there like drinking coffee with my Bluetooth headset in, and she's like, slurp.
Slurp.
That's all she hears. Like,
so that's probably what you guys hear. So the Feather Wolf Patreon fee, that's what you're paying for to
right.
hear me slurp. Everyone else gets it edited out.
What do you all think of the new microphones? How do they sound? Is there can you hear too much background noise? Give me your thoughts in the chat, please.
Yes, please, honest feedback, because we do this for you guys. So anything to better your experience, we are happy to make adjustments.
Especially if it's technology.
Especially if it's technology. La la la, la 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 la. There were some other things that I think I was supposed to talk about, and I'm like getting a little bit lost in my coloring here.
Yeah, start making outlines.
I have to start making outlines.
I see you're looking at your outline there.
Oh, outlines for the
For
show.
the show, yeah.
Yes, sometimes
Hey.
when there's a lot planned. Yes.
What's that?
Where?
What's that thing that I see under there?
Oh, this is a very exciting thing. This is your thing.
It's my thing?
Master has given Dobie a thing. Dobie's a free artist now.
I got crayons.
Crayons?
Crayons. C-R-A-N-S.
Crayons.
What am I supposed to do with these? I eat them.
No, you don't eat them. Don't eat them. Don't eat them. These are actually...
Coronavirus.
These are... Oh, that's it. Go wash your mouth with soap.
That's right. I'm going to go spray some hand gel.
Hand gel into your mouth.
Yeah.
We have a very big show coming up on the 21st, the big Harley Quinn show, which is going to be a color along. And...
I tried... Okay.
Oh, he's going to be coloring along too.
Oh, I'm going to be coloring along too.
He's going to have his own page and everything.
Except we're going to do it a little bit more exciting. Instead of trying to match colors, whenever she changes color, I'm just going to randomly grab a different crayon.
Yeah, crayon. I love the way you say it. The crayon. Because the one of the main themes for the Harley Quinn show will be going crazy. And it's actually called Go Crazy with Color. And of course, Harley Quinn is the perfect character for going crazy. So she's like our mascot. What I want to convey in this show is you don't need to obsess over brands and over materials. Yes, we love our brands, and I certainly loved doing the product review where I did Black Widows versus Prismacolor. Lots of fun, and I have my preferences. I often go with Prismacolor for one thing, and now I go with Black Widows for something else. But it's also important not to get fixated on materials and specific colors. So we're literally going to have a pile of pencils all mismatched. I'm going to dig in my bin of misbranded, mislabeled pencils, and we're just going to mix it all together, and we'll work with what we have. And that's a really good exercise to do every once in a while, because we get so stuck on brands and specific colors. And even though it's a color along, it's not going to be like, find this $300 Prismacolor pencil that only I have, and only with this pencil you can achieve this effect. No, you can achieve all these same effects with whatever you have laying around the house. As long as it has color, dirt, rust, blood.
Easy on the blood. There's a limited amount of it. It's very precious.
Yeah, only if it's your own, it's limited.
Have we told you why we don't have very many workers that work here?
Or neighbors. Like I said, go crazy with color. So it's going to be a blast. It's going to be an absolute blast. And actually, you guys are a secret stream, so I can tell you secrets, right? I can tell them secrets?
You can't tell them secrets.
I can tell them secrets. Since no one will see this stream until after the Harley Quinn show, I can tell them secrets. My secret is that I'm drawing a second Harley Quinn page.
And, I didn't even know that.
And we'll have, it's
what
so
else
secret.
Don't I know?
There's some other things that I'll be showing them that you don't know about. You've been away for a week. Lots happened.
It's like I don't even live here.
I'm drawing a second page of Harley Quinn with a different facial expression, but same deal, like the makeup and the hair and everything. And we'll have a vote live on which page you want me to color and which page you want tech support to color. So that's my surprise. Oh, and speaking of surprise colorings, I really wanted to make this into a little flick that I could show you, a little video flick, but because of the fire, I didn't actually get to my computer yesterday, and this morning I got robbed by an hour of time, so with the time change.
Oh, yeah.
So we actually started an hour early, so I'm really sorry I didn't make the flick, but I wanted to show you my very personal wolf pack. Mel, Cindy, and Lori made me a surprise coloring. Oh. They each took the human nature page, the one with the wolf family, where there's a human woman and she's pregnant, she has the wolf and the wolf babies. And they each colored that page, each in their own way. And they're so different and so beautiful. And I will add them to the post-production version of this video, of course. And they made me guess who colored what.
Really?
Yeah, they presented it as a surprise. They've been
you were
picking...
like, that one was colored by Barack Obama.
Right.
This one was colored.
They told me it was them. They just had to. I had to pick from the three. I had to guess which one was Lori, which one was Cindy, which one was
Did you
Mel.
guess correctly?
I guessed correctly.
Very nice.
I know my colorists.
You know your colorists.
I know them well. And so thank you guys so much. It was so touching. And it's my favorite page. They were picking my brain in secret for weeks ahead of time. And of course, afterwards, they confessed. They're like, remember that time when we were talking? That was for the secret project.
Lori hopes that Harley will be holding a bat.
Oh, you want one with the bat? Okay, we'll do that one.
All right, switching back to your drawing board now.
Switch back to the drawing board, please.
Now that you have slurped on enough coffee.
Okay, someone whom we know and love, Lori, sent me...
I was like, me. Oh. Lori.
Someone who we know and love, Lori, sent me a bunch of these 20% French gray pencils, which are my favorite pencil in the Prismacolor set because I use them as a blender. Now I have 12 of them, I think.
I didn't know that.
And there's so much you don't know. Yes, and
Are you still married?
And also... And also these ones that I use for skin
on the couch lately?
I did not make him sleep on the couch, by the way.
My place in bed has been replaced by the dogs.
By the dogs do come to sleep in bed a lot lately, though. They do. Okay, am I here? I am here. So this 20% French gray.
In spirit and in body, my dear.
Or the 20 or 30% cool gray will also work, or a very, very light blue, if you have like a powder blue, that would work as well. But I like this French gray a lot, that I will use as a blender. And when I'm doing stuff with blending, I go a little bit over the lighter color and a little bit over the darker color at the same time. And then what this creates is this kind of a sheen over the darker color that automatically appears metallic. So if you have pencils that do create that effect, I know that not all the brands, yes, I know that I'm contradicting myself and I say that brands aren't important, but in this case they are. You do need to find a pencil, and it doesn't have to be Prismacolor. There are lots of other pencils that will create the same effect, where a lighter color over a darker color will create this nice sheen that for silver is absolutely perfect. It's kind of like when you look at a silver plate or a silver spoon, you see the black reflecting parts in it, but then over it you see the whole surface is really scratched. That's the effect that we're going for. We're going for really high definition silver here. So the blending, so I did the very light color, I did my white charcoal, then a middle gray, then a slightly darker gray. You could have added pure black there as well. And then with your blender pencil, which a 20% French gray in the Prismacolor set, I highly recommend as having as just a separate blender pencil. Like, you don't have to buy the whole box. You can just buy a bunch of these guys and use them as blenders. And they will also work as blenders over other brands. So I could have done the rest of this coloring in any other pencil, in Black Widow or some nameless, brandless pencils that I just have laying around, and use this over them, and it would still achieve the same effect. That's one of the reasons why I love this pencil so much.
I'm going to change the Kelvin spectrum on your light.
Ah, okay. Is it too cold or too warm?
I believe it is too cold.
Well, we are doing silver, though. Silver's kind of cold. Generally, depending on what it is reflecting. Oh, wow, that's really warm.
Yeah, I'm curious.
So tech support is playing with how warm or cold my light is.
So this is 5,500 Kelvin, allegedly, which is what the main light comes in as. Oh, this light's it might make it till the end of the show.
How much, how far are we in? We have about half an hour left,
about
right?
a half hour left, yeah.
Okay.
You want me to make I'm going to put it back up to, how's that?
That's great. I like that. Yeah. And now I will take a yellowish pencil because my background is brown. So anything that's a light middle brown, an ochre, or even yellow, I've picked yellow ochre, a little bit on the parts where the dark meets the light. I like to add a little bit of color that will reflect my background, but not perfectly. I would take it a notch higher. So I have this subtle soft brown as a background, and I'm using a slightly brighter yellow for my little reflective highlights. And mainly that's for the theatrical effect of it, because this is an illustration. It's not photorealism. So it's okay to take it a little bit more towards the theatrical in terms of coloring. Okay. And here you can be quite sloppy with it, just adding suggestions of this color here and there. And if you've added too much, you can always take it off with more gray and more white. But I like having it applied quite heavily because of the suggestion of reflection. And now I will go to pure black, and I'm totally mixing my my brands here, which is fine. I'm going to Black Widow to a black pencil, which I'm trying to sharpen. You can't see it, but I'm trying to sharpen it, and it keeps breaking. La la la, la la la, still sharpening. I'll be with you in a moment. Will you entertain them with hand puppets while I sharpen my pencil?
We should actually have sock puppets.
We should. I really should make sock
pop
puppets.
up and be like,
I got the tickles. If I entertain them, I didn't mean attack me.
oh, but that's so entertaining. It's
Okay,
how I always entertain
I got it.
myself.
I got it. I got it.
Like, I'm bored. What can I do? I'll tickle Lisa.
He does. Wait. No.
And then she screams.
No, I don't scream. I squeal. I squeal. Squeal. Okay, I can go back. So this is pure black. This is Midnight. It's called Midnight. And it's a Black Widow pencil. Of course, a Prismacolor black would work as well, but I think you guys saw in one of my episodes that the black Prismacolor pencil finally met his end.
There's a tractor going by, in case you can hear that.
Yeah, I suspect they can.
About the road.
Oh, our road got paved. Is getting paved. Finally, we're going to have a paved road like normal people. we had like a gravel road. Would you say it was gravel?
It wasn't gravel, but it was a dirt road.
It was like a dirt road. It was wide
It
and
wasn't even like a dirt road. It was a dirt road. It was packed road base material.
Yeah, exactly that. And finally, they're paving it for the first time ever. So we've never seen a version road being paved for the first time. We've seen road work in cities where they repave the road or they patch up the road, and it's actually quite fast. You know, they just close down one side at a time for a day or two, and then they repave the road. But when they have to do it for the first time ever, it's a very involved process. First of all, the road raised by a meter, maybe? A little bit under a meter?
80 centimeters, yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a
So
bit.
it's quite higher, which affected our driveway. Now the driveway is very steep and not very solid. So we had days when the workers couldn't leave. That was funny. So thankfully the guys who are working on the road are very sweet, and they're always offering their help, and every chance they get, they help us fix our driveway so that we don't get trapped in the house. But it's been several months now since they started working layer after layer, base, water, oil, base, water, oil, building up this road. And finally the black top pavement is going on one lane at a time. So here on this dress, I'm adding this pure black, and I'm adding it in little parts that are of the higher concentration of the dark pigment in the center. And that contrasted against the white, plus our little gradients of gray and ochre, creates the silver effect. So also consider the shape of your fabric. You see that here there are a lot of wrinkles. But if the dress was more fitting, like the corset here, then you have obviously less detail. You only have the solid shapes that you're dealing with. But there's still a very, very high contrast. And of course, we won't get to coloring something like this, but my trick for this was to create a gradient from dark to light with black, gray, ochre, my French gray, and lilac. And then afterwards, I added all the little white dots with a white Posca pen, and that's it. I didn't play with white charcoal here at all. I didn't create a gradient from white to black. I just did black to lilac. And then I added a bunch of little dots, and the dots are getting further spread out as I'm getting towards the bottom of the dress, and that's the effect that I got here. It's super simple, and it gives you that glitter fabric kind of a look. So you can try that out on anything. It doesn't have to be silver. Just here the silver works. Here the main idea behind this was to show you that the gradient doesn't have to be in every fold like it is in this dress. It can be a large gradient going from the bottom to the top, suggesting that the fabric is very like a chiffon kind of fabric. It doesn't have reflections on every single fold of it. So you take the whole skirt as a single object, which has its own gradient. So it's darker on the inside here because there's no light there, and it's darker on the bottom because we don't have the little glittery sparkles there. So it's going from almost black to almost white, from this really dark gray to this really light lilac, with some ochre in there, and then the white dots all around. But you can apply this to anything at all. It could be a green dress, it could be a pink dress, it could be a golden dress. As long as you put the little white dots in there, you get the effect. But make sure to space them out randomly. Don't try to create a pattern with them, because that will look a little bit awkward. Like, randomness is the key there. It looks more natural that way. Okay, so I'm almost done with this one. I'm just gonna add a little bit more black to the bottom of the knee part. And again, like, knowing where the light will fall and where the shadow will fall is intuitive. So I would highly recommend looking at inspiration photography. Just look online for dresses, fashion, silver dresses, fashion photography, dress photography, whatever you can come up with. There's a lot of it. Like, we have an endless supply of visual information with the internet. So find the dresses that it's not just the photograph that you like or just the dress that you like. Find the illusion that you like, and try to convey that through your own coloring. Like, you may find a dress that looks almost blue, but your brain clearly perceives it as a silver dress. So ask yourself, why am I perceiving this as silver when it has so many blue tones in it? Oh, is it the color of the light in the room? Or is it the actual color of the fabric? So understanding why a certain color appears to be a certain color is very important. All right, so I think I'm gonna call this dress done. I hope you guys try this out, try this effect. Of course, post your colorings in the group. Feel free to ask me questions about it if you want. And we'll call this one done. And I'll take questions now. And then I have some teasers to show them, and we can start wrapping it up. Because we actually try to keep these shows at an hour and a half, but lately they've been running a lot later.
An hour and a half?
Mm-hmm. Oh. They started as an hour. Then they went to an hour and a half, and now we know that we go up to 2 hours. So we just put a hard stop on 2 hours in case we have. That's
right. At 2 hours, I just pull the plug. That's right. So we're coloring. Thank you for watching.
Static.
We interrupt this program to tell you that.
Oh.
All right. If any of you have questions. Lori says, Lisa, it looks beautiful. What a great tutorial.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That will be all for questions. Bye. I'm kidding. Yes. Okay, teasers. Every live stream ends with teasers. So I have some fun things to show you. First, remember the really epic February live stream, the one where we got to 1,000 subscribers 2 seconds after the show ended?
Actually, we invited them to ask questions, but it takes like 60 seconds for that invite to show up on YouTube, and then for them to respond. So by the time,
Good point.
like you already said, no more questions, and then I saw like 10 seconds later it showed up. So
Okay, I'll stop saying no more questions.
let's sing.
How about no?
Who wants to hear Lisa sing?
Who wants to never get fed nachos again, ever?
Who wants to hear me sing?
Yay! Tech support sings. How about I'll do the teasers,
And then we'll ask questions. We'll deal with questions.
yeah, and
after.
if questions come in during the teasing part.
Oh, Lori's got to run. Baby land calls.
Okay, bye.
Peace out.
Catch a good one. All right, so
Natalie says, will the other dresses be done in a tutorial?
would you like them to be? They can be. Yeah.
Sam says, I have nothing. Sam.
Oh, because she had the big question with the cameras already.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it was a question that was answered in.
There's this guy.
You're not required to have questions. You're
Sorry,
just
homework,
allowed to.
Homework for the next live stream is come with a question. There's this guy that goes by on the road during the week, and he's selling vegetables out of his truck or his car or whatever, and they're pretty common. And so he's got like a loudspeaker on the roof of his car, and he's got a thing inside, and we don't know what he says because he speaks very farm Spanish, but he ends every sentence sounding like it's the most tragic thing ever. So like if I was driving down, I'd be like, hey everybody, I've got potatoes. But what he says is, hey everybody, I've got potatoes. And today I'm also selling carrots, except it's in Spanish.
He's like Marvin, the sad robot.
He's so, like, I don't want to buy anything from him. I want to give him a hug.
We call him Sad Papa.
Sad Papa, because Papa is potato in Spanish.
So he's
Papas. That's all we hear.
It's so sad.
Zanahoria. Please buy my vegetables.
So sad.
Evelyn also has nothing. Cindy wants to know if the dresses will be done, especially the middle one. Yes, Natalie wants a tutorial on the middle dress.
You got it. Tutorial coming up on the two dresses, especially the middle one.
Let's tease him.
Let's tease him. Okay.
Wait, don't. Be careful. Standing up.
I wasn't going to stand up. I was gonna.
Why don't you stay there?
I was gonna slither my way over here.
Slither.
Slither.
Slither, slither, slither.
And now I'm back.
Would you like me to
Yeah,
switch you to
I
a
look like a
particular
witch creeping around. Yes, this drawing board, please.
Camera? Done.
Ta-da!
Wow.
I finished it.
Wow.
This is Laura Rafferty's drawing that I started coloring for the February live stream. And during the live stream, I only did a part of the background and the wings, the butterfly wings, and that's it. I finished the rest of it. It took me weeks to finish this. not consecutive day-to-day drawing weeks, but total, I just finished it last week. And it was several sessions, several hour sessions of coloring and painting. And probably the first thing that jumps out is how large this is compared to a standard print page. This is quite bigger, and the way that I did it is I actually traced the drawing. I printed it on several pieces of paper, and I stitched them together with tape, and it was all really ghetto. And then I placed my drawing paper over it, and I traced it by hand. So actually, it's not even a coloring page, it's a drawing. And of course, I consulted the artist before doing this, and she gave me her blessing that it's okay to recreate it in my own hand. And I really, really wanted to go big on this to give you guys all the detail. And my other limitations that I set for myself on this was that I would stick to only sepia tones, no blue. This is the first coloring that I've done with no blue in it whatsoever. It was hard, but I did it. And I would only use the Black Widow's skin tone sets. Nothing else. No other Black Widows, no other pencils, just the skin tone sets. And I did it. I stuck with it, and it came out quite lovely, I think. I also used pastels for the background and white gel pen for the little dots. And I added white acrylic paint to create the little glow spill around the faces and the characters. But this is more than a presentation of what I finished. This will actually be a 20-minute tutorial coming up next Tuesday. So you guys saw it first here on the Feather Wolf Gathering. No one else knows about this. No one else has seen this complete. But stay tuned for the Tuesday tutorial where I will give you the whole story from the very beginning with some really funny moments from the stream as well. So there's that. And will you kindly set it somewhere safe? And the other big announcement that I have is that after February, the next big event is going to be Mermaid.
Oh, man.
Mermaid.
We got some stuff planned for you.
Is happening in May, and we have some very special things planned for you. I am going to have a set of 3 mermaids that I will be offering on Etsy. You guys, of course, get them as free gifts as my patrons. This is one of the mermaids that I'm doing. I will be streaming. I don't know whose work I'll be coloring during the live stream yet because not all the works have been submitted yet. We still have until April for everyone to submit their works. So we haven't decided who's coloring whose work. So I will be doing a 2-hour live stream like we did last time. And additionally, I've been asked to do tutorials that will be like the intermission show between people's live streams. So I have 2 of those planned, and one of them will be on how color changes underwater. So it will be very technical, lots of color theory, and actual charts where you can compare colors so that you can be better prepared for how to color mermaids and all sorts of underwater effects. So this is one of the mermaids that I have prepared for the show, and that's the coloring that I will be doing for that intermission show. So, I think there's road work happening. So there you go. That's Mermaid. And that is all that I have for you today. Of course, on the 21st, we have this coming up, the Harley Quinn show. And this exact coloring, painting, drawing, actually this was a drawing. This wasn't a coloring page. I drew this and colored it for the, why can't I think in words anymore? I think I'm getting hungry. For the product review show, that's it.
I'm hungry.
For the product review show. This exact original work of art will be signed, and we'll have a giveaway again, because a giveaway was a lot of fun. It was one of our best shows to do a live giveaway. We'll have another one of them giving away this picture when I reach 100 patrons. So that's coming up soon, because I'm at 70 already.
Hay un pedido.
Huh?
Hay un pedido.
What is this? Oh, there's a question.
Sam quise que hablamos en español.
No.
Sí, la verdad.
Sam, ¿tú hablas español?
No.
¿Por qué nosotros tenemos que hablar?
Sam quiere escuchar como escuchamos cuando hablamos en español.
Okay.
Nuestro español no está muy bien.
You can
pero...
switch us so we can...
Oh, ¿por qué no estamos allá?
¿Puedes cambiar la cámara?
Ahora estamos allá.
Okay.
Hola.
Hola.
Estamos aquí.
Estamos aquí, hablamos español. Perrita.
Perrita bonita.
No hablamos muy bien, pero hablamos muy claro, muy claramente. En Chile la gente no habla muy bien. Well,
hay 2 idiomas de español en Chile. Una es castellano, que es español correcta, y la otra es chileno, con palabras se llama chilenismos.
Son muy específicos.
They don't understand what we're saying. Probably we can stop. So in Chile, there's Spanish. Like the educated people.
Probablemente es suficiente
the
español.
educated people speak regular Spanish and Chilean Spanish, and then everybody else just speaks Chilean Spanish. And we're out here in the farm country where they speak farm Spanish, which is.
It's farm Chileno. You have Spanish Chileno and then farm Chileno.
Yeah, it's bad. It's weird. Anyway, so there you go, Sam. That was for you.
Lori speaks Spanish.
Lori's not here anymore.
Oh. Well, she will be later. All right.
El próximo video.
Hacemos en español.
Todo en español, con subtítulos.
Sí. Todo subtitulado. Por Lauri. Madame Lauri.
Sam says no idea what we're saying, but it sounds cool.
Wonderful. If there are no more questions, we'll say farewell.
I'm asking in the chat if there's any last questions before we wrap.
Then they will get to
just so that we don't have to
watch me slurp my coffee. Yes, if you have any questions about Mermaid or the tutorial that's coming up on Tuesday, because I think those are the only 2 things.
Do you remember my fairy wings that I had for February? Well, that was something that she put together at the last minute. Imagine having 3 months to plan just how she's going to torture me.
For mermaid.
And what I'm going to look like for all of you.
Merman.
You said Aquaman.
I never said Aquaman. I said merman.
You said I'd get to look like Khal Drogo.
Well, if you get the abs of Khal Drogo in the
inflate my
next 2
shoulders,
months.
I was going to grow my goatee out and I was going to get it.
You have
You're
a
gonna... Merman.
merman, like Zoolander. Please steal. You're good
I
at
probably just
that.
broke the camera.
I think you might have. No Aquaman.
All right. Thank you all. Gracias a todos.
Thank you guys. Gracias. We'll see you on the 21st. I will see you in a tutorial on Tuesday, but we'll see you live on the 21st for the Harley Quinn show. Bye.
Rock on. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Don't kiss strangers.
Don't lick people.
No licking people. No nothing that's gonna get you sick. All right. Stay healthy. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye.